And so this is why Agile works so well here. It's managed by pattern. It's an achiever mindset. It's a very entrepreneurial mindset. And so when you're working on the left-hand side, it's all pattern recognition. And as I mentioned earlier, Agilists aren't the first ones to come up with pattern recognition. That has been around for a long time. But because of how Agile works, you're able to more quickly identify the patterns, experiment, see what works, see what doesn't work, and if it doesn't work, you get rid of it. It's pretty straightforward. And so it becomes very agile as they've described it. And so remember that the ability to see is managing by pattern, and it's an achiever mindset. On the other hand, and on the other side of the organization, is the ability to scale. How do we take it from the startup phase and bring it over into the operational excellence phase? How do we take this from 100 people to 500 people to 2,000 people to 5,000 people and beyond? And so then that becomes the ability to scale. When you're scaling, as you're growing your organization, all of a sudden, all these titles start appearing in the company. Chief Technology Officer, Chief Operations Officer, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Executive Officer. All the C-level designations suddenly start to emerge as the company grows in size. And so then you start to get your silos. You might have R&D and innovation together and then you'll have engineering, and then you'll have various types of engineering where you're taking it to prototype stage versus to production stage, and so on. As the complexity increases, suddenly you have to start to manage by fact. You'll hear executives talking about, we got to run the company by the numbers. Well, if you're running it by the numbers, you're going to be out of business soon. Simon Sinek shared that in a video that he had out there recently. I remember in a book, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School by Mark McCormick, he was talking about how the bean counters had taken over Ford. And they were doing cost cutting all over the place. And finally, a couple of the older dogs in the organization, they yelled out from the back of the room at a meeting, why don't you just close all the plants and then you'll save all the money and we don't have to continue to do anything. And at that point, everybody realized the silliness and the path that they had been going down, that they shouldn't be driven by the numbers, they should be driven by the vision. Okay? But that's why we keep vision in the middle there with the VSPT, because if you're not led by vision, you'll be driven by circumstance. Okay? And so you need both and. You need the ability to manage by pattern, and you need the ability to manage by fact. It's a both and, it's not an either or. And that's the mistake I keep seeing Agilists make over and over again. They want to throw out everybody on management on the right-hand side here, but their solution for operational excellence doesn't meet the needs of the stakeholders further up the food chain. And that's why they keep getting uninvited from program level meetings, portfolio level meetings, or even the C-suite. I even met an Agilist who one time, basically I watched a CIO throw the guy out of the office, out of the meeting, literally, and the Agilist, the coach, the Agile coach, he wore it as a badge of honor. Well, we need to protect the space for Agile, not understanding that he had just done a great disservice to both Agile and what we were trying to achieve for that customer. So that's the difference between being able to wear the Agile coach hat on the left side and the management consultant hat on the right. You better be able to wear both hats and use them equally as well if you're going to succeed in all four areas that need to be transformed. As we're coming into the last section here, you need that ability to do creative destruction. Nokia was given a chance to do creative destruction in 2004 when they had a touch screen phone literally in their hands, ready for production, years ahead of Apple. Years ahead of Apple. If they had done it with their delivery system, if they had been willing to take the risk, they would still be a major player today. Instead, the Nokia phone division was sold off to Microsoft and eventually shut down. Now, I heard recently that they're talking about starting up the Nokia handsets again, and I don't know much about that. I'm really not that interested. But they're like now, what, 15, 16 years late to the party? To me, that's just utterly stunning that happened. So it is utterly essential to have both of these, to have people who can wear the Agile coaching hat and people who can wear management consulting hat. And hopefully your Agile coaches and your enterprise Agile coaches are completely capable of wearing both hats. If they are not capable of wearing both hats, it's going to be extremely difficult to transform your organization, and we go into that a little bit more in the transformation video series that I've already done, transformation using flow. Vision defined. Now we're getting into the core of what flow is really all about. In each of our key models, like the 4D model and the 4R model, you will see that vision is always included at the center, whether it's the individual's vision or the team's vision or the product vision or the program vision or a process vision or the portfolio vision, or going all the way up to the C-suite, what they have as the vision for the entire organization. So vision is part of the heart and soul of what we do in flow. Now, I'm going to have you pause the video here, grab a piece of paper, and just have you jot down some thoughts. What is the difference between vision and mission? What is the difference between vision and values? And what is the difference between vision and purpose? And when we're talking about purpose, we're talking about why. Why would we do something? So go ahead, pause the video, grab the paper, write down your answer to these three questions. Now we're going to go to the next slide with some of my thoughts about this. Vision, if you look at some of the definitions that you have in the dictionary, it's the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. Basically, for me, vision, a vision statement, almost without exception, begins with the words to be, at least in business. What do you want to be in the future? So you're trying to get to a to be state, not the as is state. Okay? So vision is very abstract, all right? Now, for me, mission is an important assignment given to a person or group of people, typically involving travel abroad. If you work in an international business, this is very true. Now, from a business perspective, mission, how I view mission and how it was explained to me many, many years ago, it's the business that you're in, and more importantly, the business that you're not in. A lot of companies want to have their hands in many, 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 many pies. And perhaps in some cases it would be useful to start to focus in and on what is the business that you're in. Values are the principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. And so that's quite different than vision. But companies spend a ton of money and time creating organization value statements. And it's like we respect the environment, or we respect people, we respect each other. There's all kinds of variants, and they'll come up with 6 or 7 statements about principles or standards of behavior. Someone once pointed out to me that a value isn't a value until somebody raises an objection. Okay? So, and if your values are such that you're not objecting to anything, to what is going on in the company, then it probably isn't a value. But if you're objecting, that probably is an indication that one of your values was either just compromised, or somebody just stepped on one of your values that actually is something that you would object to them doing. The last one here, purpose. The reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. Simon Sinek has his book start with why. Why? There's the individual why. Why am I here as an individual? What's my purpose for being here and working with and in this organization? So you have to start with your individual why. Then there's the team why. Why are we working on creating this particular product, service, or result? Then you've got the product why. Why are we doing this product? What need is it fulfilling for the customer? Are they going to make more money, save money, get rid of or mitigate risks, or do the right thing? That would be the product, answering the product why. We call that the 4 whys. And then the organizational why. Why have we all come together, either as a small company or as a huge company? Why have we all come together in order to work together? What is the why? What is the greater purpose for our organization? I like this quote from Jeff Bezos. It's, Amazon is willing to plant seeds and let them grow. We're stubborn on vision and flexible on details. This is a really interesting quote, especially since many times from what I've heard about how Amazon is actually led and managed, is that there appears to be quite a bit of micromanagement all the way down to the individual level. And whether they're true or not, it's hard to say, but there are a lot of reports and information coming out of Amazon that would indicate that there is a high level of micromanagement occurring. If that is the case, then it would be interesting to hear Jeff's explanation on how they're stubborn on vision and yet still flexible on the details. If they were flexible, then would that mean that the workers in their warehouse, for example, that the workers can self-organize, do a pull system for the work instead of a push system for the work? And it would just be interesting to hear that kind of response from Jeff. But if this is true, this is a great statement, because that's how it should be. The leaders should be stubborn on vision and the values and the purpose. Flexible on the details gets down to the management of the tasks. And so that's why I really like this statement, because it really reflects what we're trying to achieve with and in flow.